Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 12:05 p.m. Roll call, we have Jose Zuniga present, Ms. Oli Varela, she is present online, Mr. Edward Ochoa.
Present.
Mr. Lalo Uribe.
Present.
Judge Mercurio Martinez, he is not here at the moment. Citizen comments, we'll leave the citizen comments open until the end of the meeting. There's no citizens present other than the Killam party. Action items, I know it's not in the action items written, but I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. You all got copies of the minutes. If we can have a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Uribe. Everybody in favor to accept as presented, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anybody against? Ms. Varela is aye?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, Oli. Motion carries to accept the minutes as presented. Action item A, discussion and possible action on the TIRST number 2 project development agreement.
Are we going to have Mr. Garcia Teclo here? Or?
No, he's not here. We have the development agreement that's been passed through legal. I believe both legal sides have been working through Killam Development, City of Laredo. Dean, how do you want to proceed with this one? Any findings that we have that we need to present?
Is that what's in this big binder?
It's going to be in the smaller one, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
This one? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, are you saying the final is, they have the final version?
They have the
okay.
latest up-to-date version,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay, good.
If I can comment, the exhibits being referenced in the agreement.
They are in the separate packet. There's 2 packets that are stapled together. One is the contractual agreement. That is the exhibits, the project plan and the finance plan.
Okay.
So I guess for consideration for Ms. Varela, who's with us virtually, do we want to go through the points on this? I don't know if Oli has a copy. She does, okay. So are we going to be voting on this today? On these agreements?
It's my understanding that you will, Mr. Uribe. This project agreement is slated to go before our city council this coming Monday for approval.
Okay. And so do we want to maybe discuss here openly what you want to go over some of these, or do you just want us to read it and vote on it, or? I'm not sure what we're.
Sure. Just like at the last meeting, we recommended for approval to the city council the project financing plan. So this is the development agreement that will be, and you see the project and financing plans are an exhibit to that development agreement. Can we confirm though, for the record, do y'all have exhibits A through E, or do you just have the?
No, that's kind of what I was questioning, was that I don't see them attached. But I know some of them, I mean, some of the descriptions there are probably things that we looked at before, right? That was in the larger package that was provided last time.
The exhibits that are attached are numbered instead of lettered, so I don't know if they're just changed from numbers to letters.
Okay. Do we wanna go ahead and? Yeah.
I have to apologize because I do not have the documents in front of me. And also, I am having a very hard time, understanding what everyone is saying. So if you need my input, but I understand that we have a quorum even without my vote. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
That's correct, Ms. Varela.
Okay.
So just to confirm, y'all do have all the exhibits there, the pages are double-sided on the copy you have, so if you were to take the exhibit E would be the very last page. They're just not, well, we could though, if you want, I mean, we could show do you want to show the colorful exhibits? Do y'all want to, do y'all want to present your, and I can just I'll stand up there with you if you want.
I can go print out one.
Yeah, we really
I'll go get some more. Is this one? Oh, here. The agreement?
Do you want to turn this on? Good afternoon, Rolando Ortiz, Killam Development, COO for the record. So there's 5 different exhibits to the development agreement. Mr. Ochoa, you said Exhibit A, you have actually seen that. That's the project plan and the finance plan. And that's the first part of the exhibit. I don't think we need to show that again. Bear with me. Let's see, I don't know how this works. Okay. The second exhibit is the certification regarding hiring of undocumented aliens. This agreement requires that the developer agree that we don't hire undocumented aliens. I'm sure you all are familiar with these documents. So that would be exhibit, these aren't labeled.
Exhibit B.
B. Yeah.
Which one is that?
Exhibit B.
And it's titled what, I'm sorry?
It's titled Certification Regarding Hiring of Undocumented Aliens.
It's like 3 pages from the last page, Lalo.
Yeah.
4 pages from the last page.
Okay.
It's
I got you, okay.
Okay. Then you have Exhibit B, which is a developer, Exhibit C, which is the infrastructure budget. And this comes straight out of the finance plan. And it's the different costs that you have for the different improvements that are gonna be constructed within the development over the 30-year period.
Mr. Ortiz, just so that I'm clear, and maybe I'm confused, the title of this is the project plan and finance plan, and it lists the city, the county, and Laredo College as 40% of the M&O, is that correct? I thought it was a 60-40.
So it's a 40% participation rate, right? And so the 60% the municipalities and the entities retain, the 40% is the actual contribution to the.
For the M&O, I got you, okay. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, the county, the city, and the school district all retain 60% of that increment.
Got you.
Right, 40% goes to the TERS. And that's the project plan, and I didn't go through that just because that's what you all approved at the last meeting. And that's, I think, now gonna go to the city council on Monday for final approval.
Okay.
So Exhibit B was the developer certification regarding undocumented workers. And then you have Exhibit C, which is the infrastructure budget. And these should all be labeled. For some reason, we sent them over and the actual exhibit part of it came off for whatever reason. But this is coming straight out of the actual finance plan. It just breaks out all the different costs for the development over the 30-year period. And we've also included in Exhibit D will be the actual roadway infrastructure that's gonna be built. Doesn't really show the water and the sewer lines, but all that goes into this development. Okay. The next one is the form of, the phasing schedule. And, so anytime we come in with a phase for the development, we'll bring back to the board the actual pod that we're gonna be developing, the design of the pod, and then we'll bring a schedule of values. And so that schedule of values will look similar to this, and this is what the other exhibit will be. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. And it's just a typical schedule of values. You know, it talks about clearing, grubbing, and in here you'll see you'll have like a 2-inch hot mix. It could be 3-inch, it could be 4-inch. Those things will change, but it'll be very similar to this document. So when you all are approving the development plan, you'll have all those costs embedded in the project. Any questions on that? And then we'll use this when we come back for the actual reimbursement as well.
Okay.
Okay? And then the last one, there's a requirement in the agreement that talks to making a presentation to the city, and we'll make it to the board before the city. Twice a year, there's a requirement that the developer would come and kind of give an update of where we're at, what we're doing, and what's going on. And this is just kind of a template of the agenda that will happen at that time. So we'll be looking at what's being platted, what stages that plat is in the process of, or if it's been platted, then if bids have gone out, what those bids are for the different projects that are going on, and then the actual construction, you know, where are we in the construction, and probably, you know, this is a kind of a living, breathing document we can put in projects completed, maybe at the end. So as the 30 years comes, hopefully there'll be a lot of projects completed, so. So it just kind of lays out the template for the talking points when we make the communication to the board and then to city council as well.
Mr. Ortiz, on the previous exhibit that you showed regarding the
Visual values?
yes, sir. When you speak of reimbursement, is it upon completion, or is it progressive as per percentage
It's a
completed?
great question. It's upon completion. There's a set of, and I think it's in section 2B or 2A, that talks about, you know, it kind of runs the same system that we have with the city of Laredo today, right? You plat your property, you put it out to bid, you get your bids back in, you go ahead and start your development, your construction. Once you finish that, you then go back to the city, you know, and all the approvals are going through that, right? And then at the final, you get a final approval from the city utility department, the traffic department, the environmental, engineering, and one other. And then once you have that, then the city engineer issues you your final approval. And so you have to get that final approval, make sure you have all your lien, you know, your debts and liens documentation. So when we turn it over to the city or bring it back, it'll say, okay, here's your package. And that package will include this, it'll include all that information and all the approval letters that we have. And then the plat can be recorded at that point.
But regarding the reimbursement, is that when the reimbursement is
Yes.
triggered, or?
That's when the reimbursement is triggered, and I believe we're only, it only happens once a year, right? So the way I envision it is if we say, and I don't think we have an exact date when that once a year is. It could be, you know, the entities receive their taxes, the money goes back to the TERS fund, then in July, the entities or the money able to be released, right? So say we finish something in December, we won't get paid in 30 days, right? But we'll have that package ready and we will have submitted it so that it's sitting on somebody's shelf. So in July, it comes and if there's enough money in that fund, it can get reimbursed.
Okay.
So there'll need to be some type of accounting there, and I know that it's incumbent upon the developer to make sure that package is ready to go at that time.
Gotcha, okay.
On the legal side for the city, do we have a format that will be used? Are we gonna request certificates of completions and releases, final releases from contractor and subcontractors as well, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the section that you, just to correct, I think we said, what? It's 3A.
I'm
So
sorry.
if you're looking on page 4, and I can read it to you, and so we did do, and those are due diligence questions. We want to make sure that there are no liens, all bills are paid. If you're looking at the very top of page 4 in the development agreement, it says, and there's a paragraph there, it's the 6th or 5th line down. It says, prior to certification by the city engineer, the developer shall confirm in writing that the infrastructure improvements are free from liens, and the developer shall submit for the city engineer's review and acceptance all final lien waivers, all bills paid affidavits from subcontractors or contractor subs, material men, suppliers, if any, related to the work. And then the final reimbursement, after everything is received by the city, certification is provided by the city engineer, confirming that everything is done, submitted. We have all the information required for reimbursement. Then the city manager or city manager's designee can release the funds for reimbursement.
Now, on the exhibits, Exhibit A will start, I guess, with what is page 1 of the secondary package that we have?
That is correct.
Okay.
And that runs, I want to say, through maybe, these probably are just numbered per their, the different agreement or plan. These are the same finance plan and project plan that were approved last time.
The project plan and finance plan has already been approved?
By you all, yes. I think it still needs to go to the city for final approval.
Oh, it has not been, for council, it has not been approved? I got you, okay.
I think they're doing that this
Monday.
Monday, correct?
And the development agreement, that has already gone through as well, or?
This development agreement is, they're asking you all for a recommendation to approve, and then it'll go to city council for the 6th as well.
Okay. Is there anything in either one of these that we need to, I guess, cover or bring to light or anything like that? So we're gonna need a motion to approve these, and then that recommendation goes to the city council.
That is correct.
Nothing has been edited, modified, anything like that. that needs our attention?
No,
I know the last, I'm sorry, I know the last meeting you had included a couple of, were the amendments or something that we needed, so this here doesn't have anything to do with that?
So at the last meeting, it was the project and financing plans that you recommended for
Right.
approval. We did, with the modifications, those modifications are included.
Okay,
And
then.
that's now Exhibit A.
Got you.
And so what you're seeing is development agreement with those document, the project financing plan together, and then exhibits to the development agreement as well. So all of these, project financing plan, the development agreement, will go to city council for final approval based on your recommendation. If you recommend today the development agreement, then all of them for December 6th will be presented to city council for final approval.
And just to make it clear for everybody, on the secondary package, Exhibit A would be, and counting two-sided copies, would be counting one side, page 1, the other side, page 2. Exhibit A would be pages 1 through 29. Exhibit B would be page 30. Exhibit C would be page 31 and 32. Exhibit D would be page 33 through 35, and Exhibit E would be page 36.
I think that's accurate. I don't have, these aren't numbered, so.
Probably if you need a copy of the package distributed.
Yeah, so this is the development plan and the finance plan. Yep.
So I guess if it's okay to make a quick comment, I guess just for housekeeping purposes, can we just make sure that the exhibits, kind of like what Mr. Zuniga said, you know, the titles and the descriptions, Exhibit A and the descriptions posted, so it be a little clearer for council when they're looking at it, I guess.
So noted.
Now on section 2, for Exhibit C, once the phasing process is decided, on what the cost would be for phase one, phase two, whatever number of phases, if there's any adjustments to the budget, would they be, discussed, once the phase is being presented? Or at what time would those be discussed?
Yes, so the idea is to, if we're doing phase two and then doing phase six at the same time, those will have their own budgets, right? And the beauty of this thing, there's a cap on the actual reimbursable, right? So as costs continue to go higher and stuff, there's only gonna be that limit, right? So, but to your point, every time we start a development, we will come and provide the actual plat that we're doing, what those roads are gonna look like, where they're gonna be, the size of the lines, and we will go ahead and provide a schedule of values that we would have already bid out, so that you have the actual hard cost, and then get your recommendation to proceed with that, and then we'll move forward to the construction.
The limits for the phases will be awarded at one point before you start. Would you, and just as a general comment, would you give us the number of phases that you're gonna work with and what the budgets are for each?
Yes, so it's, as you know, it's difficult to say, okay, we're gonna be working phase in order, right?
Right.
So, what we would do is if we're doing a phase 8, say, that's our first phase, and this is just, make-believe. That phase, we would then say, okay, here's the phase, here's what it's gonna look like, and then here are the actual construction numbers that we're going to spend in this phase, right? And then you have the total of that one exhibit where the infrastructure cost is. Say we spend $5 million there, it comes down to 70 million. If it's at 75, it comes down to 70 million. And then we'll be going that way. Then if we do phase one, then if that one's 3 million, so there's kind of like this accounting that you'll have on that amount. But once you reach that reimbursable number, it's over. And of course, there's got to be an increment too, right? So if there's no vertical construction, there's no money coming out of the coffers. So.
Did that kind of fully answer your question? I just want to.
I'm just, and you read my mind, I'm just thinking, at one point, do you have the number of phases that are going to be developed, or you're going to be designing little by little?
Well, we have, don't you have it?
And the reasoning behind it is I just don't want to run out of money at one point and there's 3 phases that are not completed. I don't know if
So in our actual master plan has phases on it, and this is a very good question. This one shows.
But our commitment is to fully develop the project, and so, I mean, of the 1,027 acres, and, in order to, and maybe another way to think about it is, in order to create that incremental value, we have to develop all of it.
Right.
And so we may come and present, we're gonna do phase, 2, or whatever the phase is that we're in, you know, at that point in time, we're not necessarily asking for any kind of reimbursement because we haven't spent the money. And then we go in and spend the money, and then over time, even when we spend that money, it will take time to create that increment. And so in order to, the financial plan that we have put together and worked with the city on and with the other jurisdictions on, is that in order to get fully reimbursed, we have to develop everything. And so, to your point, we wouldn't be in a position to where we develop 50% of it and get reimbursed. That's and then half the project is not developed. I think that's kind of what you were maybe thinking.
Right.
And so, so even when the project is, a lot of the reimbursement is actually in the last few years of the project. And so in order for that to happen, we really have to develop the whole thing. So there's not sort of you're kind of midstream in this and then, saying, oh, we're not gonna, that's not the case. So you have to have, not only do you have to create that increment has to be there for a period of time as you begin to collect those monies so that the fund accrues those funds in order to make those reimbursements. So, as we move forward, say we go and present to you all, hey, we're going to do phase 1, we spend the money, odds are there's not going to be, it will take, it may take 3, 4, 5 years before there's enough money to even really fully reimburse us for the first phase. And so it's sort of backloaded, the first portion of the time frame, we're not going to get really as much reimbursement. But as things move along and that increment appreciates and continues to grow, or there's more increment there, there'll be more tax revenue that will be created.
And so obviously the initial what word am I looking for?
Outlay or cash out?
Yep, is borne by the developer, right? The property or the project then needs to increment in value in order to meet these numbers. Once they do,
correct,
project is certified, or that phase or part of the project is certified as complete. At that point in time, there being enough money, then the developer gets reimbursed 40% of the cost of the project.
Exactly. So in fact, it may be a situation where we move on, if we present to you all, hey, we're going to begin this phase, we complete it, we ask for a reimbursement, maybe there's no money or little money in there, and that's just sort of an outstanding thing. And as time goes on, we continue to develop, we say, hey, we did the next phase, and then those monies will begin to accrue. And so it will take the whole project in order to accomplish that.
Thank you for the explanation, and that helps a lot, and it clears a lot of questions. So not only for us, but I think for the public, whoever watches this, it will be more, easier to follow the way the structure is going to be. So
yes, so there's a little sort of time lag or whatever, where we're sort of waiting for that as those monies move accrue.
So theoretically, you could build phase 1, ask for reimbursement, there's no money there. Go to start phase 2, put up your money for phase 2.
Correct.
Put a reimbursement, there's no money there.
Yes,
so
sir.
It might take some time.
Yes.
And so there'll be essentially an outstanding reimbursement.
Yes.
Of the city to have to go back.
Which is only, owed by the TERS fund itself, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so, and maybe there's a little bit of money, but it's not enough to sort of
fully reimburse phase 1, for example. Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Now that clears up a lot of things for me too.
I'm happy to answer any other questions too, or about the document.
that leaves it very, very clear. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
much.
one other little thing that I had is somewhat related to the phase. I mean, who controls how the phasing comes in? Because obviously, like you say, we can do phase one, and then we can do phase 6, and then we can do phase 8 and come back to phase 2. I mean, that's usually how things work sometimes. But does the city or do any of the other entities have any control to say,
No,
you know,
so
hey, we prefer this phase come in next? I mean, a lot of it can come down to later as you start developing these, having traffic flow and connectivity of streets and stuff like that. Does the city or county or?
So, great question. I mean, in this case, no, that's not the case. So that the developer, you know, ourselves, our company, you know, we would be the ones determining in what fashion, you know, we would move forward. But a lot of, you know, the way that we would make that decision too is, you know, listening to kind of seeing what does the market want, and
Sure.
you know, maybe somebody wants to buy lots in a particular pod, and you know, or there might be different reasons why. I mean, we want to try to move in a sort of orderly way that makes sense
Yeah.
from all those, you know, good points that you made. But there may be, you know, there may be some kind of opportunity that, you know, may necessitate that we didn't anticipate moving another portion in parallel, and for whatever reason that may happen. So,
Okay.
but we're gonna, you know, try to move in a, you know, way that makes sense, and you know, in terms of those connectivity issues and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
This may be a silly question, and I ask it only because I don't know, and the county is in the process of doing the new fairgrounds, and so you talked about pods. This development is going to be a development of pods, phase 1, phase 8, phase whatever. Utilities have to be drawn or set in place way before, even though you're going to do phase 8 in 3 years, utilities have to be there, correct or not? Or are the utilities advancing as the project is going? And I don't know that it's relevant to any of this. It's just, I guess, for anybody's information, the utilities have to be in place before any of the phases go up, correct? Or?
So, yeah, that's a great question, and I think it can be done multiple ways. I mean, you know, I think our intention is to kind of do it, you know, as we go. So one could sort of drop it all in, I guess, you know, at once. One thing that we are considering is sort of a footnote, I guess, but just but it does speak to your point, which is that we're looking into potentially working with a group that would drop in you know, fiber in there so that people get a high-speed internet, and you know, maybe even up to like you know, especially if there's and they would do that immediately, like, you know, because it's once you drop the roads in, it's going to be more expensive to do that. And you're talking about like maybe like 40 potentially 40 gigs a minute. So we are looking into that, and they would do that, you know, up front.
Okay. Okay.
Now for sections, section 2, letters F and G, do these things have to be discussed with the college and the county ahead of time? Have they been discussed?
The finance,
Right.
yes, they've approved all of that. So we went through the preliminary, you know, so the city created the ordinance, then they amended the ordinance, and then, you know, approved the preliminary plan. And then we went to the county and to the Laredo College, and they approved the participation agreements, which, you know, have those financial, you know, projections on there. And then sort of the next step was to create the TERS board and TERS representatives, and then from there, you know, with your all's approval from the last meeting, then they would, you know, look at the final finance plan and then the development agreement.
And what I was referring to was to the buildings of, or other areas of public assembly. So those have been previously discussed with them?
Yes, correct, yes. And I can speak to that if you'd like, or I can.
No, 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 I just wanted to make sure that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is Olivia.
Yes, sir.
Unless there are any other questions, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve the project as presented.
Okay, you guys done reviewing? You want a couple of more minutes?
I mean, I browsed over, the agreement. Unless we're gonna cover item by item, I don't know if that's what we're here to do today, but, which is why I was asking legal if there was anything that needed to be, I guess, mentioned or included or edited or whatever, and the answer was no. You know, everything that I've read, even the questions that have been answered are pretty much what we discussed, previously. Nothing has changed. Obviously, this is gonna go to council for their approval. The city's legal team obviously has already combed through this, and so they're comfortable with it. Again, unless there is something that has changed since we've last discussed. But yeah, I agree with Ms. Varela. If there's no other discussion or anything, unless you guys want more time to comb through it, but I'll second the motion that we approve the development agreement as it's presented to us, and to further this recommendation to
Present to council.
city council. Yes, that's my second.
Mr. Ochoa, just to confirm that he doesn't need more time to review. I don't need more time to review.
No,
Having
fine.
a motion and a second by by Ms. Varela and a second by Mr. Uribe. Everybody in favor to approve as presented, to present to city council, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody against? Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna close citizen comments. I don't think we have any at this time, so we'll close that before we adjourn. Being closed, the citizen comments, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. If we can have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Ochoa. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.